Hello, my name is Scarlett from the Student Project channel. Today we have the pleasure of introducing you to the fantastic author of the Christy Miller series and many other beloved books, Robin Jones Gunn. Robin's inspiring stories have touched the hearts of readers worldwide. Joining me for this special interview are my fellow project members, Simon, Ipo, and Daniel. Hi, Robin. We are really excited to meet you. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you.
I'm glad. We are so glad you could join us today. Let's dive right into our questions. When you started writing books, were you nervous? How did you overcome this feeling?
I started by writing books for children, and it was sort of fun. I wasn't worried about getting published. I was more interested in making the children's books something that my own children would like. Then, when I started writing for teens with the Christy Miller series, all of the teenage girls helped me. So I would read a chapter to them. They would tell me what to change. So we went back and forth. So it was a little different than trying to write so that I could be published and so that I could really have accomplished something. I was more interested in making the stories interesting. And so I didn't feel very nervous about it.
Mm.
After the first books for the teenagers were published, then the publisher asked me to write more and more books. And then I was a little nervous because it became difficult to know, what did the publisher want? What did the readers want? What did I want? What was true for the characters? So I had to work hard and learn and do it over and over and over and over until I got it just right. And then that would help me to know with the next book how to write in a way that would be, most of all, interesting to the readers, because that was the most important thing. And I had to learn that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's encouraging to hear how you overcome those nerves. What's the most challenging part of writing a book for you?
That is a good question. I think the most challenging part is being willing to always learn something new and do the work so that it gets better and better. Because every human wants to just do something and have it done. There, I did it. Go on to the next thing. And especially now, our cultures, our lives make it so that everything has to be fast and be finished. And I think that the most important thing, if the book, if the work is going to last a long time, is that you have to take the time to get it just right. And that's just difficult because we want to hurry up and make it faster.
Yeah, I agree with you that life now is very challenging with everything wanting to be fast. What made you want to write for teenagers, and why do you think they like your books?
I wanted to write stories for them that would show them how much God loves them, and to show them that there are teenagers who want to make good choices with their lives, and who want to see what it is that God created them to do and to be, and to start that at an early age. So when the girls at our church were reading all these other books that were putting all these thoughts in their minds that were really taking them away from loving God or being kind to other people or really trusting that God had a plan for their lives, then those books were, I was worried that they were getting too many messages that were not true. Does that make sense? So I wanted to give them, here's an example, here's a role model, here's a character that is just like you, but she chooses to trust God and to give herself to God in a way that says, whatever you want, I want what you want, God. So that's why I think the readers really connected to Christy and felt like, yeah, I feel that, but I don't know how to say that, or nobody else is talking about that. But yeah, I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to mess up my life, but I don't know how to trust God. So then they kept reading all the books in the series because it shows how Christy and her friends keep learning. And in every situation, there's something new to learn. So they just keep realizing that God is with them all the time. That when I get letters from readers who say, your book helped me understand how I can trust God or how I can just turn my life over to him, then I know, yeah, that's what I want. That's so good. So good.
Nice.
Your ability to connect with teenagers through authentic storytelling is truly remarkable. Can you share with us any interesting stories from the set of the Father Christmas movies?
Yes. So I had some of my books were made into Hallmark movies. There are 4 books altogether that were made into movies. And on the first 3, I got to go to where they were filming in Canada. And my agent and I got to go on the set. And they even let us be extras. So we got to sit in the background and the camera came by. And when you watch the movie, you can see us. We're just sitting there. And then in the 3rd movie, we got to be extras again. And this time we are in a scene where they are filming a Christmas party. And my agent and I are holding cups of apple cider and we're just walking around while people are talking. So that was really fun. And I really loved getting to know the actors. I felt like we had so much fun. It was just so fun to be there. And in between, when they were filming, we could eat together and talk and laugh. And that's pretty fun. That was very fun.
Yeah, I remember, I think, was it the first one we watched together?
Yes, you
Yeah.
came over to my house and Ipo, I was sitting on the couch in my pajamas and I said, come over, and my movie's on TV and there's nobody here and I can't watch it by myself. So Ipo came over and I'm in my pajamas. I didn't know she's taking pictures of me watching because I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, that
So
was
I have pictures of me being very happy and very much at home.
my behind the scenes for you. How does it feel to see your stories on the TV? Like, how does it feel?
Well, it's not what you think, because they take the book and then they write the script. Someone else writes the script and they change everything they need to change to make it work for a movie. So when they do all those changes, it's kind of like your story, but it's not. So every time I watched each movie, I thought they were well done. I thought they were great and it was fun. But I always wanted to stand up at the end and say, now go read the book, because there's so much more in the book. there's more of a message about God in the books that didn't go into the movies, and there's just more details. With the fourth one that they did, it was during COVID, and I did not go on set. I don't think I even saw the script. I didn't know much about it. And the night it came on television, I sat down and watched it, and it was nothing like the book. Nada. It just, the characters had the same names as the people in the book, and that was about it. So that one I felt sad, because I felt like it had changed so much that they didn't even need to put my name on it, because it wasn't really very much like the book. But then I have friends who watched it and they thought it was their favorite of all of them. So I don't know.
Mm.
That's a lot of mixed feelings. So there's another question. What inspired you to create Christie's character? Which inspired by someone?
Christy is a little bit like I was as a teenager. She's a little bit like every teenage girl I know. And what inspired me was seeing how every generation, every teenager feels the same things. They feel like they want to fit in, they want to make friends, they want to figure out their own personality, they want to know that they are important and that people care about them. Every teenager has times when they feel so embarrassed or so terrible, like everything is going to fall apart and there's no hope. After I finished the first Christy Miller book, I gave it to my grandma to read. And my grandmother was, I think she was 84 years old. She was in her 80s. And she read the book and she said to me, this is exactly like it was for me when I was a teenager. And I thought, she was a teenager a long time ago, but it's the feelings and it's the problems, and those never change. In every generation, they are the same. So I think that's why readers feel like, however, whenever they start reading the book, it doesn't matter that I wrote them years ago, because they're still having the same thoughts and feelings now.
Yeah, knowing that Christie's character comes from your own experiences make her story even more impactful. When writing a novel, do you base it on a specific message you want your readers to receive?
I don't plan the message ahead of time. I only think about the characters. And so whatever the characters end up doing, then the problems come up and the solutions come up, because I'm following what would be a normal thing to happen to a teenager. So every time I write a book, I first cut out pictures from magazines, or I print something from the computer, and I print a picture and I look at it and I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Robin. Who are you? And then they tell me, oh, I'm Christy. I'm Todd. When I cut out the picture of Todd from a surfer magazine, I found this picture with this surfer with really blue eyes. And I thought, oh, okay, this is the surfer. So I put his picture, I glued it to a piece of paper, and I introduced myself. I said, what's your name? And he said his name was Ron. And then when I was reading the story to the girls in the church youth group, they said, Ron? We don't like the name Ron. His name should be Todd. And so I changed the name, and they were right. But then I realized that when I was 13 years old, the first boy I had a crush on was named Ron. So I thought it should be like my first crush. But then with the picture, I felt like if I got to know this character, then it would show through the story what the problems are and how they are resolved. Because with novels, you always have to have a problem that is solved. And that's what happened, even though his name was different.
Wow. I love how you emphasize the meaningful themes while letting your characters develop naturally. You wrote books about relationships and faith. What made you want to talk about these topics?
Because they are so important. And I knew I would not help anyone if I just wrote a book that had some funny little things that happened and a sweet ending. I knew that the answer to everything is Jesus, and turning your life over to God is the only way for your life to make sense. And it has to be this surrender, this release, so that you can receive his forgiveness and his freedom and his joy. So that is the message. I didn't maybe set out with a specific key message in every book at the beginning, but because that's in me and it comes out in what I think and what I say and how I live. So that comes into the story. So of course, not all of the characters love God or want to follow God's path for their life, but there's always some characters who are trying to figure that out and trying to figure out what forgiveness looks like, and figure out, if I make this choice, what will the consequences be? But if I make this choice, what might happen? So always that tension and showing how things turn out, because this one made that choice and here's how it turned out. And this one made this choice and that's how it turned out. So that's the path for every human. The path that leads to life is following God alone. That I believe that with all my heart. And I know that I've heard it over and over from readers who say, I read your book and I chose to believe that God really loves me. And I gave my life to him. And now everything is changing little by little. I see it because he's with me. So that's in all my books, because I can't stop it. It's just going to come out.
It's fascinating to hear how deeply personal your journey is. What advice would you give to writers who look up to you?
That if you want to write, see it as a gift, see it as a calling. It will not go away. If it's just a little whim and you try to write a little something and then it just doesn't work, that's one thing. But if you really have it in your heart, I want to tell stories, I want to write books, that will only grow and grow and grow. So pay attention to it. And then, like any other career, get educated, work at it, improve, learn from others. And I think the biggest advice is always to, as I said at the beginning, to be willing to learn and be willing to work harder and try again and start over and do it in a way that that the reader will understand and take the book as something valuable to them. And here's what I mean. When I was writing the Christy Miller books and all those teenage girls were helping me, it was so humbling because, first of all, I didn't know what I was doing. And then secondly, every time I would read to them, they would tell me that I didn't know what I was doing. But because I kept at it and because I was teachable, because I said, okay, help me understand. And then this light bulb moment, I realized it's not about me. If I'm going to be a writer, I have to be able to write what the readers need. So every reader looks at a book and says, what's in it for me? What can I get from that book? Because you won't spend your money on a book that you feel like it doesn't mean anything to me. So you have to write in a way that's not to make yourself feel good, no, or to make yourself feel that you have accomplished something that you really like. The best advice is, if you want to be a writer that people will actually read, you need to write what they need to hear, what they want to hear. You need to learn and be humble and willing to change so that everything goes down that path. So when the project is finished, someone looks at it and says, I need that. I want that. That's for me. This writer knows me, because we're all very selfish. We just want what we want. But the writer has to put themselves aside and say, this is for the reader. This is what they need. This is what they want.
Yeah, I think connecting to the audience is actually a really important like thing to, so you can write and think, like you said, if for them, because yeah, we are kind of selfish, so we're like, what can I get from that? And that's like, well, but I did love your book because I read it and I felt like you were talking to me as an author, and I was like, wow, that's wow. I mean, even if it's not in Spanish, I
Yeah.
could, I felt it, you know, and I was like, that's just amazing. It's amazing because it's like a different culture,
Mm-hmm.
but I could get it because I'm related to some things that happens to Christy. So it's like, okay, so I have her perspective and I have mine that I just want to learn, how she deals with things so I can, deal with them. Probably not the same way, but kind of have God by my side and, walk with him. That will be amazing. And it will be really good if it is in, translated in Spanish.
No.
Wow, that would be,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
Scarlett, that makes me so happy.
oh, I'm glad. I did like your book. What are you working on next? Are there any new books or adventures coming up? And where can they find your books and your social media?
Yes, I usually write 2 books a year, and I have written nonfiction and fiction and gift books and devotional books. So I think the easiest thing to find out more is go to my website, and it's just robingunn.com, ROBINGUNN. And I will update that about new books and about different things I'm working on. And then it has all the links to my social media. So you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest, or I don't know, I've got X, all of that. So yeah.
Thank you, Robin, for sharing your
Aw.
inspiring journey with us today. It was truly a pleasure to meet you and have some time to talk with you. Your stories are sure to continue inspiring young minds and hearts alike. We look forward to seeing your future creations, and thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Bye.
Bye.